Alright, what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? In today's video, I wanted to talk about some NBA stats this season that don't make any sense in either a good way or a bad way. So yeah, I got about 10 stats picked out, some team stats, some individual player stats, and I really just want to talk about them, and if it's just something positive going on or negative. If you guys enjoy these style of videos, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up, and you guys can let me know in the comments what you guys think of these stats, and without further ado, let's get into it. So the first one I want to talk about is Victor Wembanyama, right? So he is a 7'4" alien coming into his first NBA season, the #1 overall pick in the draft. And it's actually a negative stat of Wemby. So Wemby is just shooting 43% from the field at 7'4". That doesn't really make any sense. Now, when you dig deeper into the numbers, obviously you can find a way to get to that 43%. Wemby is shooting 74% from the field on shots 0 to 3 feet. He's shooting 49% from the field on shots 3 to 10 feet. Then it drops all the way to 38% on shots 10 through 16 feet, 27% on shots 16 to the 3-point range. So yeah, just kind of long twos, and then 27% from downtown. So yeah, Wemby has not done a great job shooting the ball outside the paint so far this season. I think that's something that's definitely going to come with time in his game because he is a good free throw shooter. He's shooting 80% so far, but I think it definitely caught my eye just seeing like, oh, Wemby, 7'4". He's one of the taller guys in the NBA and he's shooting just 43%. That's definitely something that I just kind of wanted to talk about. Because if you look at like another person that's kind of similar in height at like 7'2", Kristaps Porzingis, he's shooting 55% from the field. Chad Holmgren, who's 7'1" in his rookie season, he's also shooting 55% from the field. So Wemby is shooting the worst percentage out of any 7-footer in this league, and I do wonder what his field goal percentage is going to be at the end of the season. Okay, the next one is just really talking about the NBA three-point percentage leaders so far this season, because the list is just a hodgepodge of names. So Kevin Durant is shooting 52% from downtown, which is also just kind of mind-blowing, because he's a career 38% shooter from there, so he's shooting above 50%, which is just kind of wild. And then you gotta go down the list, and you got Isaiah Joe, number 2 at 51%. You're like, okay, he's a specialist, kind of get it, but 51%, it's kind of historic. Jay Crowder is also 3rd in the NBA at 51%. Like, what? And then this one, I was just like, huh? Cameron Payne, 4th in the NBA at 51.2% from downtown. You guys watch this guy's jumper. It's not pretty, but somehow they are falling. And then you got Doug McDermott at number 5. You have RJ Barrett at number 6 and Alex Caruso at number 7. These aren't known to be sharpshooters or just downtown specialists in their career so far. Jalen Brunson 8, Malik Beasley 9, Grayson Allen 10. I'm sure Lakers fans are probably pissed to hear that Malik Beasley is one of the better three-point shooters in the league after how bad he was from downtown for them last season. And then you got Matt Ryan, Kyle Lowry, Tyrese Halliburton, Lonnie Walker, and then Paolo Banchero. Yeah, is 15th in the NBA in three-point percentage. I was definitely not expecting that since he was pretty inefficient from downtown last year. And he's shooting 45.5% from 3, which is just 2% lower than his field goal percentage. I did not expect that from Paolo so far this year. So yeah, the whole three-point percentage leader so far this season, it's kind of weird. All right, next up, I want to talk about Andrew Wiggins' efficiency just overall. So Wiggins is a career 45% field goal shooter, and he is shooting 41% this year. He's a career 35% three-point shooter, and he's shooting just 23% from downtown this season. And then I think it's alarming, 72% career from the free throw line, and he's shooting just 56% right now. He's shooting just 48% on twos. He's shooting 61% at the rim, which honestly isn't great for his career because he shot north of 70% at the rim in each of the last 3 seasons. Then it drops to 58% from 3 to 10 feet, which may just be his sweet spot. But boy, this guy could not hit a jumper. He is shooting 18% from 10 to 16 feet, 40% from 16 to the 3-point range. So, you know what? That's actually not terrible. But then it drops to, yeah, like I mentioned before, 23% from downtown. Wiggins hasn't been like the most efficient person in his career so far, but I do think it's a little bit weird so far this year how bad he's been from all directions in the half court, just from the field, from 3, from the line. It's a little weird. Okay, next up, I want to talk about Mitchell Robinson and his offensive rebounding this year because it's incredibly impressive what he's doing. So on the season, Mitchell Robinson is averaging a total of 11.5 rebounds. He has more offensive rebounds per game than defensive rebounds, 6.1 to 5.5. He's the only player in the NBA north of 5 offensive rebounds per night, and he's at 6.1. Next up is Mark Williams at 4.3, 1.8 fewer than Mitch Rob. Just in total offensive rebounds as well, you have Mitchell Robinson that's at 85, Mark Williams at 60, Clint Capella at 58. That's your top 3. There is a bigger gap between 1 and 2 and Mitch Rob to Mark Williams than there is from 2 to 20 in Mark Williams to Jakob Poeltl. A 25 to 21 difference in offensive rebounds. That is just how much better Mitchell Robinson is on the offensive glass than any other person in the NBA this season. Because if you go to like offensive rebound percentage as well, he's at 21%. The next highest is Clint Capella at 18% and Mark Williams at number 3. So yeah, shout out to Mark Williams and Clint Capella being good offensive rebounds this year, but nobody is in the stratosphere of what Mitchell Robinson is doing on that glass. I just feel like every game he's constantly just getting rebounds over multiple guys that are in their front court and just hustling, and that's just like how important he is to the Knicks team. It doesn't go unnoticed. He's very, I think, admired by just Knicks fans in general and how good he's been on the offensive side of the floor. Just having that safety blanket that's always there to be your cleanup crew is just so great to have. So shout out to Mitchell Robinson and his weird offensive rebound numbers that are just like insanely impressive so far this season. All right, next up, I do have a -1, and it's involving Kade Cunningham. And I want to talk about Cade's just overall turnovers this season. It's not been great. Kade Cunningham is averaging 4.8 turnovers this season, which is higher than number 2 by 0.7 turnovers, which was Giannis at 4.1. Then you have LaMelo, Trey, KD, and Luka. So yeah, Cade's 7.3 assists to 4.8 turnover ratio is just not what you want to see from somebody in year 3. He leads the league in also just total turnovers in general at 72. KD's at 60 at number 2, and Giannis is 3 at 58. There's a bigger gap between Cade and KD, which is a 12 difference, than KD to Steph Curry, which is 2 to 15. That's how much Kade Cunningham has turned the ball over this year for the Pistons. So it's just been a really weird season overall for Kade Cunningham so far in year 3. Obviously, he missed 95% of last year's season with injury, and he had a good second half to his rookie season back in 2022. But yeah, so far this season, he's been turning the ball over a ton. Obviously, the Pistons have been one of the worst, basically the worst team in the NBA so far, which is really disappointing because they brought in Monty Williams. They drafted Cade #1 overall in 2021. They really haven't gotten much better with them. They have so many other young guys like Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey, somebody else we'll get to next. So yeah, I'm sorry to bring a negative, Pistons fans. Let's talk about a positive for your team. I got another Piston coming up here. All right, so next up, I want to talk about a SROS Thompson stat line because it just doesn't make any sense. SROS Thompson is averaging 11.3 points per game, 10.1 rebounds per game for a 6'7" forward. That's a rookie. 3.2 assists per game. He's shooting 44% from the field, 13% from 3, 69% from the line, and he's averaging 1.1 steals and 1.7 blocks per game as well. Like I said, he's a 6'7" forward, and he's 12th in the NBA in blocks, and he's 15th in the NBA in total rebounds per game. It's been an unexpected start for SROS Thompson in just every aspect of basketball. Like, he's a great rebounder, he's a great defender, he's a good passer, he's still a solid scorer. He's just not been efficient whatsoever this year. It's really because of his three-point shooting. He can't hit a 3 to save his life, and that definitely was kind of something we had to keep notice on when he was coming out of the overtime elite into last year's draft. So I'm just really curious to see what a SROS Thompson stat line is going to look like at the end of the season. I know it shouldn't really shock me at all, but Steph Curry's just overall efficiency this year in year 15 at the age of 35, almost 36 years old, has been just absolutely incredible. Steph is shooting 48% from the field, which is just right on par with his career average. He's actually shooting a higher three-point percentage than his career average this year, 43% to 42%, and he's shooting even better from the free throw line as well, 93% to 90% on his career. And Steph's true shooting is just what it would be like for a big man. He should not have a 67% true shooting percentage this year. He actually had a 67% true shooting percentage in 2018, and he led the NBA in that. He also had a 67% in 2016 when he was a unanimous MVP winner. And just all aspects of the offensive side of the ball, he's just insanely efficient at. Like I talked about Wemby and Wiggins' inefficiency at times, but Steph on just 2-pointers, 55%, 73% at the rim, 42% from 3 to 10 feet, 69% in the mid-range, 10 to 16 feet. Incredible. The long mid-range, 16 to the 3-point range, 60%, and he's shooting 44% from 3. That is just insanely incredible for somebody that's just been this consistent for his whole career. It doesn't make any sense how efficient he really is. You can combine the most efficient 3-point shooter and the most efficient just overall field goal percentage guy, and you would basically have Steph Curry. He's that good. Just don't take him for granted. Like, he's not going to be around for too much longer. So yeah, watch him, enjoy it, because this efficiency is just insane. All right, next up, I want to talk about Tyrese Haliburton and his assist numbers. I feel like I had to talk about Haliburton. He's definitely taken such a huge step so far this season. In 13 games this year, he's averaging 12.3 assists a night, and he's really just being one of the best playmakers in the NBA now. Now, outside of his 12 assists, he's also averaging 25 points, 4 rebounds, 52% from the field, 46 from 3, and 91% from the line. But I really just wanted to talk about his assist numbers because he's leading the league in assists per game, total assists, and assist ratio. Either it's in transition, in the half court, maybe making an outlet pass. He may be the best passer in the NBA. He's now up there with Luka, with Jokic, with LeBron, with Trae Young. Tyrese is right up there, and he may take that mantle as the best passer in the NBA at the end of the year. That's how incredible this playmaking season has been for Haliburton and the Pacers so far. He is now skyrocketed basically from being maybe a fringe top 40 guy, maybe a top 30 guy you had in your mind last year, to now he's going to be looked at as a borderline top 10 player at the end of this season. All right, so the next stat I want to talk about is just the Boston Celtics as a whole. And Basketball Reference runs an SRS stat. It's basically a simple rating system, kind of translatable to a strength of schedule. And they have an 11.44 rating. So that is number 1 in the NBA by a decent margin. Number 2 is the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are at an 8.92. There's a bigger gap between the Celtics at 1 and the Timberwolves at 2 than the Timberwolves at 2 to the Knicks at number 5, which is incredibly impressive as a team overall. They're 12-3 on the season. They've beat so many good teams so far, beating the New York Knicks twice, beating the Miami Heat, beating the Philadelphia 76ers last week by double digits, and just beating the Milwaukee Bucks on Thanksgiving Eve. Their starting five may be one of the best starting fives we have seen basically since like the death lineup Warriors. You have 2 defensive studs like Derek White and Drew Holiday. You have 2 elite wings and 1 MVP candidate in Jason Tatum, the MVP candidate, and Jaylen Brown. And then you have a unicorn who's shooting 40% from downtown at the 5 spot at 7'2" and Kristaps Porzingis. So yeah, the Celtics just don't make any sense. They're just that much better than everybody else this year. I knew they were going to be good. I didn't know if they were going to be this good. And the last thing I want to talk about is the Orlando Magic team defense this year. So this has been anchored by so many guys on the defensive side of the ball. They're currently 2nd in the NBA in defensive rating, which was a huge jump up from where they were last year. And it's just so many guys buying in on the defensive side of the floor. I think like the number 1 catalyst for this has to be Jalen Suggs. He's everywhere on that side of the floor. I think Franz has done better on the defensive side. I think Paolo's done better. They're doing this without their main rim protector and Wendell Carter Jr. Like we're seeing Mo Wagner, Gogo Patatse out there at times. Heck, they even got Joe Ingles on this team, and he is not a good defender by any means. But yeah, it's the guys I mentioned. You got Cole Anthony, you have Anthony Black, you have Jonathan Isaac. This Orlando Magic team is for real, man. They're going to be right there in the play-in tournament, and I think even like those 4, 5, 6 seed conversations as well at the end of the season. And they don't even have a player that's scoring north of 20 points per game. It's just because their defense is that good, and we got to stop sleeping on the Orlando Magic. So yeah, that is going to be for me. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. Let me know if you did by dropping a thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think about these stats in the comments below. Subscribe if you are not already. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.